Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to another fabulous episode of Exit Strategies Radio Show, guys. I'm your host. Yes, that is me. I am he, Corwyn J. Millette, broker and owner of Exit Realty Low Country Group in beautiful North Charleston, South Carolina, guys. Thank you so much for being with us today. This is an extra special show. We always focus here. Y'all know it. I say it all the time. Our mission is very simple: to empower our community through financial literacy and real estate education. And guys, today's show is going to be no different. We have tapped into an extra special guest to join us today to give us some fabulous information and share their story with us, which is always very exciting. We have none other than Dwan Bent Twyford with us. How are you, Dwan?
I'm
How are you?
I'm good, Corwyn. I'm so excited to be on your show today.
Well, thank you. Thank you. So our listeners, look, y'all got to hear it and look at it. You know how I do it. I like to get it straight from the horse's mouth. So
Yep.
look, Dwan, tell our folks about you. You're a podcaster, real estate investor, you're a guru, you're a plethora of information. You're a vault, so to speak. You look at you got the good stuff. So tell our folks what it is that you do, what it is that you make happen.
So, first of all, I love the fact that you use the word plethora. It's one of those words I use all the time. I'm like, why does someone use the word plethora? It's such a great word.
And kindred spirits.
It is. No one uses it. I was like, oh my God, he said plethora. I already love him. That's my word. I use it for everything. So I'm already loving it right there. So I have been a real estate investor for a little over 30 years. And I have wholesaled, short saled, rehabbed. My husband and I and we're drinking the same water. So we are.
I love it.
We have a plethora of water. Oh my God, we're going to have so much fun, Corwyn. And so I've been doing it for a really long time. My husband and I are actually rehabbing a town right now. We're working in a little town in Iowa, doing like a city rebeautification. One of those like bring back the downtown kind of things like that. So I've been investing since like 1990.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. And I started way back in the day.
Okay. So what got you into it?
Well, I got married and I had a baby at 30. So I was one of those ones that was like, I'm going to have my baby late and I'm going to be like the homeroom mom and the Girl Scout mom and the mom and the field trip mom. But when my daughter was only 8 months old, her dad and I kind of suddenly split up. And I was like, okay, I'm single. I have an 8-month-old baby. I don't have a job. I've been fired from Denny's. Like I literally have no skills. And so it was one of those, I think like we all, sometimes I feel like everyone in life at some point has like a come to Jesus moment. Ooh, and so that was like my come to Jesus moment. Like, okay, I have this daughter, 8 months old. The dad is gone. He took the car, the money. Like, this is me and a baby and like $75 in my purse. So I just was like, what am I going to do? And so I guess I thought it through, not long. This is a few weeks. And I was like, well, if I get a job, like I knew if I got a job, I'd keep a job until she grew up. So, when you're 30, you think people that are 50 are like so old. I was like, golly, I'll be 50. I'll be like an old woman. Because now I'm 63 and I'm like, 60's fine. So I thought, well, I don't want to get a job because I'll be so old. And then I thought I could try to work for myself because I've been fired from a lot of jobs because of, I'm super outspoken. And I thought, I'm going to try to work for myself. And if it doesn't work out, I can still get a job. If I get a job, I knew I'd get stuck in with the insurance, the payment, the benefits. And like, I just knew that safety net would never allow me to do anything else. Is that how I felt? It doesn't mean I maybe wouldn't have done something later, but I felt that way at that time. So I met some people and they were fixing up houses and they were rehabbing. And I just remember going to one of I don't even know how I met them. And I was like, wow, this is really neat. You guys fix up these houses. This is cool. I could do that. Like, how hard is that? Because I swear to God, I thought rehabbing and decorating were like the same thing. And it was, it's like 1990. So people are having like custom made blinds, mauve, everything is mauve. So I have like mauve carpet, mauve blinds, I decorate and I do all this stuff. And I was like, damn, this house needs so much work still. So I started going to Home Depot and I literally took the classes at Home Depot and went back and rehabbed this house by myself. I made $22,000 on my first deal.
Wow.
In the 90s. Think how much money that was in 1990. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm rich. I have more money than any person I know. And I did it living in this house with my daughter, no daycare. That's it. I'm going to be an investor for my life. And I just kept rolling.
Oh my God. So that is hilarious. That is priceless. And I'm pretty sure you carry this as well. The reality is that there's some people that when they're quote unquote thrown in deep end in the pool, some of them are going to, obviously it's always sink or swim, so to speak.
Yeah,
But
it is.
technically, there's also some people will say, well, you know what? If I sink to the bottom, I can just walk myself back out.
That's
And that
right.
was one of the situations that you went through.
Well,
You know what?
I had
Go
already
ahead.
moved to Florida so I was born and raised in a little small town outside Dayton, Ohio, like in the country, like 10 acres. We had like horses and pigs and chickens. And, so I was living in Florida. And so my dad's like, well, you can come back and live in your old bedroom. And I was like, live in my old bedroom, get eaten by a shark. Like those were kind of how I felt those options were. I thought, you know what? I think I'm just going to try to make it in Florida by myself. I did it before I had a baby. I can still do it. And if I don't, I can, hang my head of shame and go live in my bedroom. And so I think with the other options, like my parents moved back in with me and my cousin moved in with me. And I was like, I live by myself. I can make this happen. And I don't know. I took that leap. I just knew that if I didn't, I probably wouldn't. And I'm so happy I did. Thank God, because now I'm 63 and it's like 33 years. I've been like working on my own and doing my own thing and teaching and training. And I've done thousands of deals now. And it's just like, thank God I took that leap back then.
So that is awesome. And we're going to get to that in a minute. But I want to share something with you real quick. So I've read this. I've heard it. It circles around me. Average millionaire goes broke at least 3 times. And I shared this story this past a few days ago when I was in a conversation with somebody and something that previous occupation I had. And I made mention in regards to that. I'm like, well, look, I did that. I said, they say the average millionaire goes broke at least 3 times before they make it. So that was one of my 3 times. And now we've progressed and we're back on track. Because the thought process, if you've been through a certain thing, and something happens, then the reality is you can get back to that same place, know where you went wrong, and you'll make a correction and continue to move forward.
Yeah.
If you keep pushing. So you have done this for 33 years. And look, listeners, guys, look, when y'all see the video, so go to the website, go to our YouTube channel, guys, and watch the video. Because Juan, you don't look that age.
Oh, thank you.
There, okay?
Honest to God, it's good genes. If you said my mom is 85, my aunt is 95. If you could see them, you would be like, damn. You're like, what are you doing? I'm like, I swear to God, it's good genes. My 95-year-old aunt goes and walks 3 miles every day on a hike in the woods.
Wow.
You look at her and you're like, we look like we're the same age.
So for our listeners, obviously, people have ambition and you have a training program that you offer. So we definitely want to talk about that. But a matter of fact, let's talk about that.
Okay.
So program, what is kind of the fundamentals and what does it involve and what do people have to commit to? Because that's probably one of the biggest things. People have to commit to be successful.
Well, they do. I do different webinars at different times based on like what I think is happening for the industry. So the 3 things I've been focusing on for the last year have been wholesaling and flipping houses. I've been focusing on short sales, getting the banks to take a little bit less. So we have, a big foreclosure wave coming. And we've been doing a lot of subject twos.
Okay.
Where people just deed you their house because so many people during COVID took the forbearance agreement, which was such a bad idea. I told every week, I was like, please, none of you don't do that. Don't do it. Don't do it. Make your payments if you can. It's going to bite you in the butt and the end. And now they're expecting like what I read, like 3 million foreclosures or something.
And I
like right now they're foreclosing right now on people. So subject twos are really good now. I mean, they're all really good. Rehabbing is we do all of it. I don't know that I have like a favorite. I think sometimes if someone's like really fresh off this like new, I feel like wholesaling is kind of an easy path because I rehabbed first, which I would never recommend anyone to rehab unless what you're doing and that it's not decorating. It's amazing. It's like, oh my God, how did I even make that happen? So I think for like fresh, I always call them fresh meat for the noobs. I feel like wholesaling is like kind of a safe because you can get a house on a contract. You can sell to somebody else. If it falls apart, you don't go bankrupt. You don't go into debt. Maybe you get feelings hurt, but
and that's fair. So as a disclaimer,
it's not risky.
Understood. So as a disclaimer for our people in South Carolina, guys, our real estate commission has made a ruling that wholesaling in the state of South Carolina, you need to have a real estate license. That is a real estate practice. So you need to have a real estate license. So for those of you who do not have real estate license yet, Guys, y'all know that we have a school, so y'all need to reach out. But let's
Oh,
pick
nice.
up from there right there, Juan. Wholesaling. Explain that, because a lot of people don't understand what wholesaling is.
They don't. It's funny because when I say that, the people are like, I don't know, what do you mean? How do you wholesale a house? And it's like, well, listen, you go to the grocery store. So you buy, the head of lettuce, and like the grocery store bought it for this much and sold it to you for this much. So you're just paying the difference. And it's the same thing with the house. You're finding a homeowner that says, hey, you can have my house for this much money. And then I find you, say, hey, Corwyn, I've got this house for this much money. You go, yeah, it's a great deal. I'll take it because I want to keep it for a rental. And I make the spread. I make the difference in between. So the nice thing about it is I can get it under contract with a homeowner. I can give them, I always keep this by my desk. I give them a $10 deposit. I give every homeowner a $10 deposit for 2,000 wholesales I've done. 2,000. They all take it. You give them a $10 deposit, and then I find somebody else. I say, hey, you're a rehabber, you're a landlord, you're this, you're that. Here's this house. And you make, 10, 15, 20, 30, like whatever the spread is. And so I feel like one of the biggest things that stops people, well, I'm sure you're going to agree. The number one thing that stops people is fear. They're afraid. And they're afraid. And they're like, oh my God, what if I go broke? What if I lose my life savings? I hear this stuff all the time. I can't go into debt. I can't get a loan. My credit's bad. I hear like the same the same 5 excuses from everybody. I'm like, look, wholesaling, you just get it under contract, sell to somebody else, make the money in between. If you do everything wrong, the deal falls apart. It costs you $10, maybe $500 or whatever. But you're not like losing the farm over it. You're not going into debt. You're not committing to a rehab and then you can't get it done. Or you can't pass inspections, and you're not buying an apartment building that's got 100 tenants in it. So I feel like it's for people that are nervous and they have like the fear and their risk factor. Because you and I know, if you've been doing it for a while, you got a really high risk factor to be a real estate investor.
You get nervous feel after a while.
I'm just jumping off the cliff, because that's how investors are. So a lot of people don't start off with such a high risk factor.
That's fair. And one of the things is we don't develop nerves of steel until after we done got pounded a little bit, so to speak.
That's it. That is exactly the truth.
Yep, exactly.
But now I meet people all the time that are like, hey, listen, I've got a ton of money. I want to do this. I want to buy a commercial. Like they're already ready to jump into something heavier. I'm like, hey, look, you want to do a commercial? I'll help you with buildings. I own 20 buildings in a little town myself. I'm rehabbing an entire town. You tell me where you want to start. But if you're like super fresh meat and scared to death and you've been, going listen to radio shows like yours and podcasts like mine for 5 years and you still haven't done it, you just need to just like wholesale something.
Yeah. And that's one of the things, you run into people all the time that, they talk about it. They spend all this time researching, listing and all that stuff, but they still, the fear factor immobilized.
It is. I ask every time I do a live, I do a lot of, I speak at a lot of real estate investing groups around the country. And I always ask everybody, the first question I ask everybody is how many of you think you're worth more money than you make? How many of you make less and you get your paycheck, you're like, oh man, I'm worth more than that. I'm giving all this my time and effort for this guy for this money and I'm worth more. And every single person raises their hand. Every single person, like 200-300 people. And I'm like, well, what's stopping you? And the number one thing is fear. Well, I don't know. I don't know who to trust. I don't know who to follow. I don't know. We have so much abundance of information online. It makes it hard for people to say, okay, I like Corwyn and I like Dwan. You know what? I'm going to do what they say. And then they get on the next webinar and it's like, oh my God, here's another shiny object. And then they do that. And then like, oh my God, wait, this guy says I can do it and make checks while I'm sleeping. I'm going to do that.
That analysis paralysis sets in. They overanalyze and do
terrible.
all this other stuff.
I just feel terrible sometimes for brand new investors because you could have someone that's a really great marketer that makes you this great video, makes this great program and all this great stuff. And they never close the deal in their life, but they're just great marketers. You got to find someone that's like doing the business.
And that's very true. Oftentimes people, again, just get caught up on the hype and never to the substance. You know what I'm saying? The old adage about the sizzle without the steak.
That's right. I know, but it's so true though.
Yeah.
Everybody wants a steak that's not all hot and sizzly, but you see the sizzle and then you're like, you cut in there and like your steak's not cooked.
Yeah, exactly. So listeners, guys, look, this is a perfect place for us to take a quick break. We're going to take a quick breath and we're going to come right back, guys. Y'all know what I say, flip the flapjack. Y'all bring that cane pat syrup out and y'all let your boy know where it's at because I'm coming through. Let's get some breakfast. Let's make it happen. Guys, hold tight. We're going to be right back. Congratulations to our Exit Realty Low Country Group's Realtor of the Week. That is none other than Big Gino Corwyn. You can reach Gino at 843-530-1073 or text Gino, that's Geno, to 85377 to receive Gino's contact information. You all give Big Gino a holler now. And we're back, guys. Second segment, Exit Strategies Radio Show. I'm your host, Corwyn J. Millett, broker owner of Exit Realty Low Country Group in beautiful North Charleston, South Carolina. Hey, we have an extra special guest with us today. We're having a hoot on the show, so y'all please make sure y'all rein y'allself in, grab y'allself tight. We have Dwan Bent Twyford with us, real estate investor, guru, educator, trainer, speaker. I mean, a plethora of titles is with us today. Dwan, again, thank you so much for being with us. So before the break, we didn't get a chance to make sure people had your handle, your website, all those things. If you don't mind, could you drop that information right here for our listeners?
Yeah. So my name is Dwan. So I decided to kind of make a play on my name. So I did Dwanderful. So it's like wonderful, but Dwanderful. So DWANDERFUL, Dwanderful. So I have Dwanderful.com, Dwanderful on Facebook, Dwanderful on Instagram, Dwanderful on YouTube. And then on TikTok, I'm Dwantastic.
Woo! I love it.
I'm Dwantastic on TikTok.
That is hilarious. That is priceless.
And then I dyed my hair all pink. I was like, you know what? I'm going to start a podcast and I'm just going to be all that.
Awesome. So you are a real estate investor. So for our listeners, guys, if you didn't catch this first segment, Juan is renovating an entire town. Like, really?
We have 20 buildings.
Mind is blown over here. Oh my gosh. So
mine is too. Sometimes I'm like, what? My husband, I'm like, what are we doing? But we're having so much fun. It's like the craziest thing. It's so much fun. It's a shocking amount of fun.
So you get to put your handprint on this community. And to be very frank about it, Juan, it's going to be there forever.
Yes.
Do you think about that?
Yes, I do. Yeah, I told my husband, like, we should try to rename the town like Twyford Town.
Hold on, what?
Twyford last name. We should rename the town Twyford Town. I don't think I could pass the name to rename the entire town. But I'm like, why not? Put our name. Like, Trump has Trump on everything he's got. It's a big old giant Trump. I'm like, we need to put Twyford on every building, everything. Just put like MGM on whatever they own. They've got giant MGM letters. Like, they're everywhere. Like, we need to put our name on everything.
You are the epitome of, do not, and it speaks about this in the word and it's just resonated in my spirit. So our listeners, bear with me. But there is a scripture that talks about, do not despise humble beginnings. You are the epitome of that scripture and what it is you're doing. Look here, that's a word right there. That's all, I ain't never said that before in my life. Is one of the things I say when I say something like, oh, wow. But that right there, you are the epitome of that. Do not despise humble beginnings, because you never know what the story will be.
No. And it was not always the easy path. It's not like I just did this and just woke up one day and I was rich. I mean, I've been doing this for 30 years. It took me forever. My learning curve was really long because back in the 90s, there weren't people doing seminars. There weren't even real estate groups. There was no internet. There was like everything people have today. I didn't have not one of those things. Like, we had to go to the courthouse and physically handwrite addresses. And use those old map books. Remember those map books? Oh my God. I tell you what, GPS, the day GPS came out, what were they called? Those Corwyns or?
Yeah, Tom.
So, I was like, oh my God, I don't even care what it costs. I'm getting one of these because I'm map booking, and it's like, none of that stuff was easy back then, and people now, it's like you can get online and you can look at foreclosures and, real estate agents, and they can listen to radios and podcasts, and you can see listings in the whole United States. If you just get on the internet and look at any city, anywhere, see every single house is for sale. Like, everything is there. You don't even have to hardly run comps or anything anymore. Like, everything's just right there. Mm-hmm. And so when I started, of course, we didn't have the technology, so we didn't feel like we were missing anything. Mm-hmm. I'd get up every day and I'd go get my map book out and go knock on doors and baby hanging on my hip. And, and I'd find a house and I'd live in it and rehab it and then move in the next one and live in it and rehab it. And I did that for like 5 years, it's a lot. And Ayla started school. I'm like, well, I can't keep moving now because now she's in school. And then I started wholesaling. So I would live in these houses that were completely like just needed everything. And I would fix up the master bedroom and the bathroom, and Ayla and I would share the room, and I'd rehab the rest of the house. And I moved like that for 5 years like that. And people were like, why would you do that? I'm like, first of all, I didn't have any money. I did my whole first deal on credit cards. And then when I got that first check, I had to pay the credit cards so I could buy more supplies. And I didn't have money to like live here and rehab there and have a fancy car. And I didn't have any of that stuff. I was like literally rags to riches, like no joke.
So, your story, oh my God, is so, I have several clients that I've either worked for, or am working with that have similar, like I've investor client that they've been doing flips for almost my entire career. I've been working with them. I've been in the business now for 18. So at least 15 years we've been doing business, 15, 16 of those years we've been doing business together. And their first flip, I mean, it wasn't, it wasn't planned, but same thing. They, bought the house and did the rehab on credit cards, got a little loan to buy a small house, and then did the entire rehab on credit cards. I have another, client that's passed away, but their first several flips were just like what you said. They bought a house, moved in it, rehabbed it, sold it, moved, and kept, and then they started accumulating. And by the time, he passed, he had an estate that was, I mean, this was some years ago, but he had an estate and real estate holdings, not money, just real estate holdings, millions of dollars in real estate holdings by practicing the same concept that you started with. That is massive.
I remember the very first deal where I had enough money to do 2 deals at the same time. And I was like, look at me. I'm killing it. I'm doing 2 deals at one time. Oh my God. I'm like a real investor. And I remember when the first real estate group, the first RIA group started, I thought, because back in the day, we had to find everything for the newspaper. No, nothing on Googling and where's a RIA meeting. There was no meetup. Like it was in the paper, in the classified section. It said real estate investor group starting in Boca Raton, Florida. I was like, oh, hey, that's not far from me. I'm going to go to that. There was like 80 people there. And I'm like, holy cow, there's all these other people that are doing what I'm doing. And I was like one of the only women. There was like 2 or 3 women. It was all men. And they were all just like, like you're and I was like, I am. I did 2 deals already, It was a boys club for sure, man. Let me tell you. And nobody wanted to take me serious. And they were just like, please. And I said, no, listen, I did this deal and I made this other deal and I did this other deal. And I was doing deals. And I think by that time I was wholesaling. And people were just like, I'm taking all my anger out. It is over here. I tell everyone, listen, if you need therapy, if you're going through like a nasty divorce, you don't even need a therapist. Just buy a house and rehab it. And when you're demolishing everything and sledgehammering the cabinets off the walls, it is the best therapy. I felt so good after my first deal. I would just like imagine my ex. I would just bust the house up. It's like, I feel so much better. And I made $22,000.
Oh my goodness. That is priceless. I'm telling
you, rehabbing is great therapy.
So you coach people, you coach investors. Obviously, you're training and all that stuff. And it's an ongoing program and process that you take them through. What does that look like for, let's say, a newbie or a novice? What does that look like for you?
So I have a thing, it's an app you can download called Mighty Network. And inside my network is Team Dwanderful. Someone invests in one of my programs, they come into my little network in there and they can ask me all the questions they want. I actually personally answer questions for people, help people out. And I do live calls, like, once a week or so we do live calls and we talk and we teach and stuff like that. And my programs, honestly, not to brag on myself, but they're like super detailed. And I have CDs that are explaining things in more depth and really a lot of time is spent on paperwork and stuff. And people honestly don't have a ton of questions because I really took the time to write something that's not like, oh, well, you learn this much and you got to invest more money to get this more information. Because like if you do the wholesaling, it's everything I know in 30 years about wholesaling is in there. So if you can't figure it out from there, like, I'll help you a little bit, but like, there's not that much there. But then my husband and I, we do some more intense coaching with people where we like fly to their house for 2 days and train them and coach them, like really handhold for like 18 months, 2 years. We have some, more advanced stuff like that too. Awesome. So someone's like, oh my gosh, you would come to my house and work with me for 2 days and take me out and go in the field and hold my hand for 2 years. It's like, I will for $50,000. I will. But you'll make money. Like every single one of those people has done that. They everyone averages 108,000 in the first 6 months. And almost all of them have gone on to become millionaires or very successful. Every single one.
That is awesome.
And
Program
that's
speaks
like
for
really
itself.
accountability. Like you got to be all in because I make you be accountable every single day.
That's awesome. And that's
Because
one of the things that
accountability is where we fail, you know?
that's true. That's exactly what I was about to
It's
say.
easy for me and you to say, hey, listen, we're going to drink 5 bottles of water a day. Let's do that. We're like, okay, we're doing it. Then we talk 2 weeks later and we're like, oh, yeah, I didn't do that. But if we talked every day and we knew we had to talk, we'd be like, well, I don't want to call and say I drank 0 water because he's going to ask me. So it makes you do it because you don't want to say I didn't do it. So
Exactly.
people that get in at that level, the accountability is crazy, but that forces them to do it.
That's true. So Dwan, look, we're quickly at the end of the show. One more time for our listeners, your contact information. We've had a blast here today. I want people to be able to reach you for more questions, to follow you, to get a better insight and get a start on real estate investing.
So my website is dwanderful.com. If they opt into my website, they'll get 5 free ebooks. Awesome. So you'll get in like, oh, hey, here's a little bit about this, about this, about this. Like, oh, I like all this. And then they can start listening on some of my webinars and my trainings, and they'll find that I'm a good teacher. I really like to do it. And my students are really successful. I really strive hard to have super successful people because I look at myself and I'm thinking I'm a person that should never have been like a superstar real estate trainer. I was raised on a farm with like cows and we had chickens and, you know, we killed our chickens and like
we had hogs.
We did. We raised 1 hog every year and we raised 1 calf and then we would slaughter them and then, you know, make the sausage. Like we literally did all that. Then we had chickens for like day in, day out, eggs and chickens. Then we had a garden and like I grew up like my parents are from Tennessee. So I grew up like eating, you know, scrambled eggs and brain and like, you know, and chitlins and all that stuff that everybody in the South eats. Probably everyone, you're in the South.
Yeah.
And I didn't know anything about business and I didn't know anything about anything. So when I look back, it's shocking to me, even at this stage still. I look back sometimes, I'm like, I don't even know how this happened here, except God wanted me to do it. So
there you go. And that's a word right there. Dwan, thank you so much for our listeners, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in today. This has been a dynamic show. If you missed parts of it, please go to exitstrategyradioshow.com or your favorite podcast app, guys, and download it, listen, and most importantly, apply this to your lives. Y'all know this thing here is, it is our baby. It is what we do. It is our service and giving back to others. And as I always say to you, you know it, and I'm going to say it anyhow. I love you. I love you. I love you, guys. And I'm going to see you guys out there in those streets.